Reclaim your confidence with STL Medical Weight Loss. Are you tired of endless dieting and minimal results at the gym? STL Medical Weight Loss offers a revolutionary program. With their highly effective injectable peptides, these medications have been approved by the FDA for weight loss, and you can lose 20 to 30 pounds in 90 days. Their telemedicine service delivers the medication right to your door, so you have privacy and convenience. Obesity rates are climbing in America. 1 in 2 Americans suffers from this problem. So call STL Medical Weight Loss at 636-628-6604 to book your consultation. And mention Tonja, and you will get $200 off your first 2 months. That's 636-628-6604 to book your first consultation. Mention my name, Tonja, and you will get $200 off your first 2 months. The website is stlmedweightloss.com. Welcome to the show about dating and love. I lost my husband 5 years ago, and I couldn't even imagine seeing anybody for several years. And then I decided, well, okay, I'm going to give this a whirl. So I decided I would look online and find a show and have them teach me how to do it. Well, that didn't work because it sure wasn't like it was when I was dating like 25 years ago. I decided I would start my own show, and I would just call friends of mine and have them come on the show and tell me how they did it, and then maybe share that with you. So that's what we're doing today. I've got Frank Dicopoulos and his wife, Teja Anderson, and they are charming, married 22 years, and in love. And you'll hear how they met and how they keep the music playing. Welcome, Teja Anderson and Frank Dicopoulos. I'm so excited that you guys could come to the show today.
Well, thank you. We're excited to be here.
You're welcome. One date to love. That's what we're doing here. And you guys have had this long, beautiful, wonderful, supportive marriage with 2 incredible children. And how did you meet?
Well, I'm going to say something right out of the blocks, and that was your title of your show could not be more perfect.
Oh, really?
Because we went on one date, and the rest is history.
Thank you.
Honestly.
It only takes one. That's why I named it that. One date to love.
You go ahead. Tell how did we meet?
We were both auditioning for a film at Paramount Studios. And I always show up early, so I was early working, and I get psyched out by other actors, so I went in a corner to work on my script.
I do that.
And Frank came in, and my whole life I'd said, I'm never getting married. I didn't really believe in marriage, whatever. I thought whatever. And he walked in, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to marry that. Like it was like clear in my head.
You're
like I saw
kidding.
him. Well, he did look like a prince. He had like long hair, and he was wearing this flowing duster coat. And I was like, whoa, and cowboy boots and jeans.
Wow.
So yeah, exactly. I was like, wow. But
Like a Renaissance man.
And he signed in, and then he walked right over to me, and he said, hey, do you want to run lines? And I was like, well, if we have the same script. And we did. So we ran lines, and then he got called in first because he was running a little late. And because I'm sure you came from the show. And at the end, he went in, he walked out. A couple times later, I went in, and when I came out, I went to the elevators, and he was sitting on the floor at the elevators, and he looked at me and he smiled, and I was like, yes, he waited for me.
Wow.
And so this is like not
so you
my
really
favorite part of the
when
story.
you were doing the scene
Yeah,
together.
Well, I told her she did such a great job on the reading that I thought if I was casting us, I'd give you the job.
Yeah, so he has this big
Honestly.
smile on his face, and I'm smiling too.
Well,
and he
even if
looks
you
at
didn't
me.
mean it, that's a really good line.
Yeah, well, then
Everybody
he
should
says,
keep that in
he
mind.
goes, he sees me smiling, and he says, oh, you got the call back too. And I was like, no. So then he felt really bad because that's a big faux pas with actors.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, can I buy you a drink? And I was like, it's 3:00 in the afternoon. You can buy me a hot chocolate.
It's 5:00 somewhere.
So we went, had hot chocolate at
She said, how about
Lindy's.
hot chocolate?
Okay.
Like the second I heard that, it wasn't like a martini or, alcoholic.
Yeah.
It was a hot chocolate. I'm like, perfect.
Yeah.
How great is
That's
that?
a good sign, actually, isn't
Yeah.
it?
And when I saw her come out of the door, when I was sitting on the ground at the elevator, she just had this beautiful smile.
She
Well,
did.
to see him. I was seeing him.
I
was
thought
like,
she was excited that she got the call back. Like, hey, so
So you didn't mean anything by it.
No,
You
I
said, "Did you
felt
get the call
horrible.
back?"
Yeah. So,
No, but I was totally smiling because he was there waiting for me.
I
Because I knew
betcha.
I was going to marry him, and I didn't know his name. I didn't know
and
his phone
Tanya,
number
there
or
was
anything.
something, there was no way something prevented me from pushing that elevator button down. There was no way. I was like, something about that girl.
Are you a God person?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
Some
truly.
things are just.
I was an
Tell the
altar
story.
boy.
Wait, tell the story where you had prayed for me.
Day before, I was in St. Patrick's Cathedral.
Oh, I love that place.
I would go in there a lot, just to go in there all by myself, light a candle,
I
and
did
go.
that too.
Yeah, and just sit down and just look around. And I was frustrated because I dated a fair amount, and I had
You were
a kind of,
32, ready to settle down.
and I literally said, "Listen, can you please just bring one person in my life that has all these things? Because I would like this about this person, I like this about that person, but
Nobody had it all.
nobody had it all." This one, the very next day, comes into my life. And not only that, where we had that hot chocolate was where my parents, they spent their honeymoon
In New York City.
Manhattan, in New York City. And it was right across the street, right on the corner where Radio City Music Hall was. And there was this diner. And my mom remembered that they sat in the first booth. We sat in the first booth.
Oh my
And
gosh.
Tanya, we finished each other's sentences.
Yeah.
It was just literally just, and this is so bizarre.
Wow. That's really neat.
We still,
Both knew right away.
Yeah.
Like that day.
So
yeah.
how long did you date?
We were engaged like a month later.
33 years.
Wow.
We were married a year later.
That is the best answer I've ever heard. How long did
Yeah.
you date? 33 years.
Yeah.
I love that. I love
No,
that.
truly.
That's really beautiful.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
She's my best friend.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. Through thick and thin. I mean, listen, it's not all bed of roses. You know, you have your ups and downs, and you have but you plow through it. You hopefully learn from each experience, and you just
What's
make.
the biggest struggle that you all have had in your life together?
I would say where to live. Like, I think it's really important. Like, I love Manhattan. And we had an accountant that was telling us to get out of Manhattan. And, we had family that was like, you should have a house and a car, which you don't have in Manhattan. And so we did. We moved out of Manhattan, and that was really tough. The community that we lived in, like, I was used to just certain, like, being near water, always being able to see the water and the bustle of the city. And we got moved way out.
And you have your coffee shops, and you have your bank,
Yes,
and you have your grocery
everything.
store.
And you don't have to go to a gym because you're constantly walking and carrying things. And
There are no fat people in New York. I don't know.
She's a Vermont girl, so she was used to the wide open spaces and the country and everything else. But what I learned later was that she loved the city and she needed to get out of there. She hated being cold. She
I
loved
needed to get out of Vermont.
I was the same.
out of Vermont.
Yeah.
I mean, here's a classic example. When I proposed to her the first time, when she was a little girl, there was a big rock in the pasture, like in her back.
Where I used to wish for a prince. That's
And she was,
Dust-
as a little girl, she would sit there and wish for a prince, right? So I'm thinking, wow, I got the perfect place to propose to my future wife. It's going to be on the wishing rock. Well, poor thing, she hated the cold.
Yeah, so a month later,
She was no longer going to the rock to pray for her prince. No.
No.
She was not doing that. She was going to the big fountain in Central Park to pray for her prince. Yeah, well.
No, and then I asked for her father for her hand in marriage, and he says, by all means, we were hoping so. So
This is after a month
A
after we
month.
met.
Yeah,
I
just
mean,
a
that's
month.
incredible.
Yeah,
On October 20th, and this was over Thanksgiving. Yeah, it was fast.
No, it's,
But we knew.
and you know what? Here's something else
But
too.
you weren't that old. I mean, you were pretty darn young.
I was 25.
Yeah, that's really young. If my daughter did that, I'd kill her.
Well, in defense of Taya, with respect to that, she's very intelligent. She was out on her own.
And it was you, honey. If she brought you home,
No, but
I
she was
wouldn't
very mature.
I wouldn't kill her
Yeah.
then. I wouldn't kill her.
Not that he likes to hear this, but I had dated a lot.
Yeah.
What?
I had kissed a lot of
Frogs, yeah,
So I knew I had a pretty clear sense of what.
I know.
And I honestly was at the point where I didn't think there would be anyone out there that met all of my criteria. So But the funny thing is, I didn't know if he did when I met him, but I knew I was going to marry him.
I just can't get over that. That is so neat.
And we came from very different backgrounds. So I think that was another struggle we probably had in the beginning, was just how do you align? He grew up in altar boy, Greek community, Akron, Ohio, and I grew up pretty much hippie kid, Vermont. Wasn't a commune, but it was pretty close. We had an outhouse. We had, it was
I
a
love all the
farm that we
Vermont
lived off
things that
of.
they-
We were eating kale back then, way before anyone
before
else
anybody
did.
even knew what kale was.
So,
exactly.
but I think our core values were the same, and that's what was the most important. Core values and humor, I say, with the two biggest parts of keeping our marriage
I
together.
really
and keeping
think
us
those
together.
are two of the most huge things you can make sure must be there.
Yeah, and physical attraction. You have to have the physical attraction first.
That's
if you don't
true.
have that,
That's
it's not.
true.
You're not even going to look
That's true.
further.
That's true.
And we do have a lot of similarities, thank God, because you're not battling. It's usually the small things that can destroy a couple, like leaving the toothpaste cap off, or just little things that culminate or a smaller message over than a bigger picture. It's just these little day-to-day things. So we're fortunate that we just don't have that.
Oh, there's the
She's going to tell you
dishwasher.
now all the things that you're doing. That
No, some issues
don't
like
get
the
divorced on my
dishwasher.
account, please.
Oh,
please,
no.
please. I'm just kidding.
It's all good.
No, does he do laundry?
He does do laundry.
See, isn't
so
that's
here's
like
the thing.
you gotta give a
So
guy
my
credit.
dad-
I do the dishes. I do the laundry. I straighten up the.
That's
God,
key.
good
My
job.
dad was a feminist, and he baked bread every week, and he shared the chores and the outdoor chores and the indoor chores with my mom, and I saw that growing
But I
up.
bet
and
your
I
dad
expected
didn't-
that.
your dad didn't
No,
do
and
it,
his
did
dad
he?
did not do that.
Yeah, your
but
dad was
Frank
more
he
traditional.
never fought me. I do all the cooking because I'm good at it and I enjoy it. He does the laundry because it gives him his private his time. Like
It's my give
It's
back.
almost like his. But I think you also like the solitude of it, because when we had our apartment in Manhattan, he liked to go down in the basement and do the laundry, and he'd be down there for a long time.
It's like men
and
that
he
go
was-
out to the
He was like
garage.
putting. Yeah, it was like his man cave.
Tinkle with the car.
It was like a man cave.
Yeah,
There was a really big storage unit down
tinker
there.
with the car, not tinkle with the car. That would be very
I've
bad.
tinkled in a car.
No, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
I know she has.
No, I don't want to know that either. Oh, that reminds me of that show Weeds, when she was coming back and she got stuck in all that traffic and couldn't find a bathroom, and it was a funny scene. Big cup, that kind of sitting. Oh, never mind. Yeah. So, when did you decide to have children?
We just talked about this yesterday.
Yeah, we'd been together for 5 years, and we just started to think it was time. Like we did spend a lot of time enjoying each other and traveling and doing stuff, because we realized that having children is a big commitment and time taker.
Yeah.
So it was we were ready. We also wanted to see, like, at that point we were like, I want to see a little Frank. He wants to see a little me. Like, you want to see what your combination will be, which is kind of vain.
Did you find out if you're having a boy or a girl before you had a baby?
We did. We found out.
Well,
too.
We
and I
were
wish
really
I
obnoxious.
had.
I'm going to say now, in retrospect, we realize how obnoxious we were, because we planned a trip to conceive our first child and our second child. We planned it
Did it work?
Sedona, and it worked.
did.
We were
God
lucky.
heaven.
But we didn't realize and we would tell her, oh yeah, we're going to Sedona to conceive. And then I started to have friends that had fertility issues and
I
everything
know.
else. And I was like, I'm such a jerk. Like, I felt like such a jerk at that point. And that does show you how young I was, and I was 30. But in hindsight, we should have just kept our
But we were really responsible, and she took the lead on that. And that was like for months beforehand. We literally didn't drink. We didn't do.
I wouldn't even let him take an aspirin.
You know what I mean? Literally, we cleansed our bodies just to literally be in preparation for this.
That's so nice.
And then, yeah, no, it was perfect. And who does that? You know what I mean? So I was really blessed to have a partner that, I love that. That's really smart and cool. And we have two beautiful, incredible children.
Now, are they
so-
dating, your kids?
They are both engaged.
They are.
Yeah, they are.
How was it up to this point? Because they're 25?
My daughter's 26,
26.
and she, like I did, didn't think she was ever going to find somebody that checked all her boxes, and she did. She did. She had a great meet cute. It wasn't. She had tried the dating apps, hated them, never had a good experience.
What
and
was
she
her
used them
experience?
very
Do you know?
On the dating apps,
Yeah.
she would
She didn't use them that often.
Use it that
She
often,
would go
but-
out with a group of girls, and they would go to a restaurant bar to
No, but she used the dating apps, and what she found out was that it wasn't the guys misrepresented themselves, which I think they do a lot when they're older, but it was that they had a lot to learn. So she would pretty much end every date with like, okay, thank you, you're a great person, we can stay friends. And they'd be like, well, what am I doing wrong? Because they'd be into her. And she'd say, oh, I didn't like that you were on your cell phone during the meal. I didn't like how you treated the waiter.
So she told them.
Oh yeah, she told them because she's very direct like that. She's very helpful.
That
and they
is
actually,
helpful.
It did help them, and they enjoy. She's good at giving bad feedback and good feedback.
Well, I think it's important for people at
Yeah.
home to know that if you do say something, you're actually doing somebody a favor. You're not nagging. If they ask you, you should tell them if they're young, because they won't
Right.
know. And they'll just have one failure after another and not have any idea why.
Yep.
You know? So
Yep. True.
my daughter's dating somebody that's a little older than she is now, like 6 years, 7 years older than she is. And I did that. I dated everybody in Los Angeles, though, honestly, because I didn't get married till I was 37.
Yeah, but girls are more mature too, so you kind of do need to date up. Like Frank is 7 years older
Yeah,
than I am,
it
and that
does-
was a good fit.
It was for
guys
me, too.
more my age, even back then, were not. Yeah, they're not mature. They don't get the maturity gene until like 26 or
At
something.
the earliest.
Yeah.
At the earliest.
or ever.
It's true. So anyway, so she said he brings me soup when I'm sick. I
That's
said, oh, that's really nice.
a good one.
And I'm not paying for any food. I said, well, you shouldn't have to pay for dinner. She goes, but I mean, I really don't hardly pay for any food. And if I'm out of something, he'll run to the store and get it. Isn't that amazing? And I said, it's really nice. It's really, really nice. And
How long have they been together?
a few months. And she just, my kids really want a career. They're very much like me. But she sure appreciates him. And
Well, that's the whole thing about dating. Whatever is you learn what you like and what you don't like.
yeah.
Then when the actual person steps in, and that's what happened to our daughter, and I think our son as well.
So your
Perfect.
son, tell me about your son.
He has been dating the same woman for 7 years now, and
That's a long time.
yep, they met in college.
Usually that's when
and-
people have problems after 7 years, right?
No.
They call it the 7
And they
year.
went through the pandemic together, so that was good. They
That's
had
a
a
big
little
deal.
experience of living together during the pandemic for a couple months in the beginning when her school closed. And now they live in Philadelphia. She's just finishing up getting her doctorate, and they've just gotten a dog, the most adorable little.
Oh,
corgi.
that's the thing.
It's the thing.
That's the tryout.
That's the test.
The tryout thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah,
ever
so I
listen-
actually misspoke before. They're not fiancés yet. He has the ring. They picked it out together. He has it hidden in his apartment, and he's waiting for the right time to propose. And he got it before the dog, but then the dog suddenly arrived. Now he's like, well, I don't want the dog to upstage the engagement. So, but she's ready. We're like, my daughter and I
Are they living together?
Yes,
Oh,
they've
yeah.
been living
See,
together for
I
a year
don't
and a
like
half.
that. I don't like living together. I don't think you should try somebody out. I
Oh,
listen.
they're definitely not trying each other out. They're
Okay.
definitely getting
Oh, okay, because I listened to Jordan Peterson, and he said, you can't try women out. They're not a car. And I was like, they're not a car. Women are not cars. You take it out for a test drive. And so I'm hoping that mine don't do that, just because I did that and I was miserable the whole time because I kept waiting for him to propose to me. This was a long, long, long time ago, not my husband. And every time we'd have a fight, he'd say, we can't get married because we're fighting. And I'd say we wouldn't be fighting if we'd get married. Well, how do you expect me to believe that? Because the thing we're always fighting about is that I'm doing everything here and we're not married. That's why. And it was awful. I hated it. I felt like I wasn't really a partner. I wasn't and I wasn't. I wasn't. She sounds like she is, but I wasn't. And I really, really resented that. And every time I'd say I was going to leave, he didn't believe me. So finally, I just left. I said, if I leave, I'm not coming back. I am not coming back under any circumstances. I am not coming back. So I left. He came and knocked on the door. I said, what are you doing here? He said, I think we should get back together. I said, what did I tell you? I'm not coming back.
What if he came back with a ring?
I wouldn't give a shit. Excuse me. Beep. I wouldn't care. I was so upset that it took all that time for somebody that I really thought loved me to make me happy.
And how long were you together, living together?
We were on and off for 8 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That's
gotcha.
a long time.
Too long.
Yeah.
So after that, then I had this biological clock ticking. I mean, really, really, really ticking. And I moved to New York, and I got my show, and everybody I dated when I was on One Life to Live was on auditioning for dadhood, fatherhood, everybody. And my friends were like, I think you're putting too much too much pressure on your dating life, because these guys don't really want to be auditioning for fatherhood. I said, well, they are. And they said, well, you could adopt. So we were making enough money to have children. So I started looking at the package that my girlfriend got for her 2 children that she adopted. And I was all set to adopt a child. So in '97, I left and I went out here and I rented my house in Connecticut, and I talked to Lori, and I'm talking to the Catholic people, and I'm going to adopt a child. And I go to the Deepak Chopra Center for Wellbeing because my sister had this feeling, like you guys had with each other, that I should go there. So I went there, and I said, couldn't you have told me this when I had a job? But anyway, it was so expensive. So I go there, and I meet him, and that was it, just like you said. But I just really didn't believe it, because I kept saying, he's from Cleveland, Ohio. God would not want me to live in Cleveland. I knew.
So to be clear, it's when you met Ed, not when you met Deepak Chopra.
No, I wasn't into him. He talked too funny. I couldn't understand.
Oh my God.
It was very hard to understand. I mean, now I can, but back then I just didn't. I
Glad you
wasn't.
clered that up, because I thought she was.
No,
talking
I met
about
Ed.
Deepak.
I met Ed.
Oh, okay.
No, we
and,
know we did.
And we were sitting in the lobby, and I was by myself, and he was with a friend, and there was a bunch of people, and I heard this like rustling, like this burning sound, and this smell in the air, smoke, and I'm like, and I heard him say, "I'm not pitta or vata. I'm not vata or kapha. I'm pitta. I'm pitiful." And I turned around and I said, "Well, I don't know about how hot you are, but you're on fire." His paper had gone over this little candle and lit on fire, and it was like burning, right? And he wasn't even he didn't notice. So he goes like this and puts it out, and that was the beginning of our relationship, because
So it started as like a playful
pitta
and
means
joking.
you're spicy, and
Yeah.
vata is really calm, and kapha is kind of lazy. And they're giving us this test to decide how much of each one of these doshas we actually have, right? And so then my sister called and said, "Are you having a good time?" I said, "Yeah, but there's this know-it-all in the class." My God. He's constantly talking about, telling the teacher what's what and this and that. And then, I wasn't supposed to have any caffeine, right, of course. So I obviously go and get caffeine on every single break. And I'm drinking it in front of the Deepak Chopra Center for Wellbeing, where we're not supposed to have any caffeine.
God.
So he comes out to talk to me. So we both had that rebel thing going, and but I was still sure I wasn't supposed to be in Cleveland. I grew up in Newark, Ohio, and it was cold, and I just knew I was, and I used to go, how am I going to get in show business from here? I had no idea I was ever going to get in show business from there. So I couldn't go back to Ohio, God. I ended up in Ohio, where it snowed every single day, and I was very, very happy. We got engaged right quick, and we really had a wonderful life together.
Oh.
Yeah, and he had 3 other children, so we did the blended family thing, and it was wonderful.
You know that thing, never say never.
I know.
I went from Ohio to Texas to California. I was so happy here. I am never going back east. Guiding Light comes in to California. I auditioned. They flew me out for the screen test. Shut down California coming out 22 years later.
Oh my gosh.
And then I never would have met my beautiful wife.
I know.
And had our children.
Everything
Never.
happens for a
That's
reason.
exactly right.
Well, I want you to come back and tell us how everything's going with your kids after the engagement and the wedding and all of those wonderful things happen. Are you excited?
Yes,
We are.
very.
We are.
Because I never really understood why people wanted their children to be married. Like, what there was always this pressure, like, oh, I wish my child would be married. I wish they'd find something. And I'm like, what? They're happy. They're at the top of their careers, everything. But what it is as a parent is you get to a point where you realize, oh, we're not going to be around all this time. You just don't want your children to be alone. You want them to have somebody in their corner that's there for them when they come home after a hard day or when they go through hard times. It's really about that partnership. That's why you want them to get married. And do they need a piece of paper? Maybe not. But as you say, living together, there's always the out. But you want your person to find their person.
That's right.
You want your kids to find their person.
Yeah, there's also something really, it's not just doubled the energy, the good energy, the help. If you're really with the right person, it's a tremendous boom for you. I mean, it's a tremendous amount of help for you. Great ideas, great dreams, great thoughts, great encouragement, all those things that you're supposed to have. We're not supposed to be by ourselves, I don't think. So, I'm glad you're not. And I wanted to say something about your beautiful jewelry. You started making jewelry.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
You gave me one. I loved it.
Yes, it all started with Hurricane Sandy. We were living at the Jersey Shore, and we lost the first floor of our home, but I found a ton of sea glass. So I started making sea glass necklaces and for everybody for Christmas that year. And then people asked me to make their friend one, and they pay me. And then it morphed into this whole thing. And now I work with pearls. And since moving to California 2.5 years ago, and everybody wants Tahitian pearls here, so we work with those too. Frank actually helps me. He has designed his own line of, he calls them broslets, men's bracelets.
Oh, I love that. That's a great name. Oh, I love that. Look how cool. I saw this. It was very sexy.
Thank you. I designed this. These are Tahitian pearls. And I just like to say that I'm really, really proud of her.
You should be.
She took a negative, turned it into a positive, and that positive is keeping us in the game now.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
She's done, you know what? That is true. When you have somebody that comes in and sees her creations, and it puts such a big smile on their face, and they come back, it makes you feel great.
You're a team.
Yeah, and I'm really proud.
You're a team. I'm proud of both of you.
Thank you.
Well, maybe one of these days we'll get to work together again. That'd be fun.
That would be a blast.
I was on that show for 5 minutes.
Really? When?
John Comboy.
Oh, John Comboy.
He came in, wrote me apart because he and I go way back, way back, way back. And then
Who'd you work with?
Beth Ellers.
Oh, my sister.
Love her. Loved her. And I had some guy, I can't remember who it was. It was really 5 minutes, but it was a great little part. Her name was Marie, and she was a bad girl, of course. And I don't know why I get those.
And I never arrested you.
No, I didn't die either. So, but I can't come back now because the show's not on. But anyway, it was really fun.
That would be fun.
Thank you.
You never know how life, takes its twists and turns.
We're very excited to watch your journey too, and I really feel that you will
we're
find
proud
your
of you.
next forever person.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. Well, I'll let you know. One day to love. We'll see what happens.
So when you get sad and something happens, I just want you to think of something, spin it 180 degrees. You can go, or you can always go to a dark place, but turn it into a positive place.
You're such a good guy.
Honestly.
Thank you.
Honestly.
Thank you. I will.
And you'll be fine.
I will.
And we wish we had some hot guy friends to talk with.
Well, keep your eyes
thinking,
open.
I'm thinking,
Keep your eyes
thinking.
open. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'm
Thank
so
you.
happy they could come and see me today and see you. We'll be right back.